So welcome everyone. I'm really excited. This is one of my favorite manuals that I've written, and like I said, we're going to be going, or like Corinne said, we are going to be going through Chapter 2. And so just to give you a quick look at what's in Chapter 2, we'll be setting parcel line elevations because we're going to be grading parcels. We're going to create some retaining walls and do some surface editing. And then finally, we will see how feature lines interact with the parcel lines. So the goal of this is we are going to grade residential properties to provide proper drainage for each lot. And you can see a little sample there where we have a road coming in. In fact, let me go ahead and turn my highlighter on here. So we have our road coming in here, and then our lots are divided, and then we have basically the front yard is going to be connected to the street, and you'll enter the homes at the level 1, and then there will be a retaining wall to allow you to have a walkout basement to go into the backyard, and then it slopes off into a pond area, which would be down in this area. So starting off with Section 1. We're going to be setting the parcel line elevations, and we'll be doing that so that we can use feature line tools to edit the elevations of those parcels. Now, before you can even start working with your parcel lines and assigning elevations to them, you do have to go into the properties of a site and tell it to allow you to add those elevations. So basically, you would do this in the Prospector tab, and it's per site. So you can have one site where all of your elevations are flattened to an elevation like 0, and then you can have another site that it's going to allow you to do that grading and assign elevations. So you can keep them completely separate. And so, like I said, you'll right-click on the site name, and you'll click on Properties, like you see here. And that's going to open up the Site Properties dialog box. And on the 3D Geometry tab, you'll go to the Site Display Mode and tell it to use the elevation. And that's going to allow you to assign elevations to your parcel line work. Now, I mentioned a little bit about having a couple of different sites. Remember, when you tell it to assign elevations, that is per site. And so if you want some parcels to have elevations, others not to have elevations, you can do that, but you'd want to separate them into separate sites. And you can separate parcels into separate sites by either moving them to another site, or you can copy them to a site. And I want something to be very clear here. When you move parcels to another site, if they have parcels surrounding them, so like right here I've got these properties, it looks like 6, 12, 1, 11, and 15 that are all together, but they have this right-of-way parcel on this side of them, they have a pond on this side, and they have this multi-use development parcel on this side. And so since they are surrounded by parcels, when you move these parcels to another site, it's going to create an overall parcel that takes the place of those parcels. And when it does that, you can see it's going to give it a default parcel style and label to take that place. So you'll have a copy in 2 sites, basically. Okay. So you have the overall parcel in one, and then each individual parcel in the one that you've moved them to. And the same thing would happen to these other properties that are here. When you copy them to a site, you'll have a copy of each individual parcel in both sites. So it's up to you to decide what's going to be working better for the way that you work. Now, once you have the parcels in the correct site and they have the option to assign elevations or use elevations, then you'll use the regular feature line elevation tools to go ahead and assign those elevations. So you have 2 options that you can do this. Excuse me. You can do it in the Contextual Parcel Segment tab when you turn on the Edit Elevations panel. And then you can go in and you can assign elevations according to a surface, or you can insert elevation points, whatever you want to do there. Or you can turn on the elevation editor, this guy right here, and it's going to turn on the elevation editor Vista, and then you can go in and assign elevations directly to a specific vertex on the parcel segments, or you can again use that assign elevation according to a surface or your insert elevation point. So you have some of the same tools in the elevation editor Vista as you have on the edit elevation panel. The edit elevation panel also has additional tools, and we're going to take a look at a few of those tools today. So let me go ahead and just introduce what I'm going to do here. Basically, when you purchase the book, the exercises that I'm showing you today are all in the book. And so I'm going to show you a portion of all of those and then allow you to go through that on your own at some point to go through the full exercise. But we're going to take these parcels, and we're going to start off by assigning elevations according to a surface, because we have our existing ground surface in the drawing, and we're going to use those elevations as a starting point. Then someone else has already gone through and assigned elevations according to design parameters they want you to follow. So it could be the engineer, it could be the project manager, whoever it might be, and we're going to go in and assign those elevations at specific vertices along the pond parcel. Okay? So let me jump over to the software, and we'll take a look at how that's done. Now, I've created quick views inside of the drawings that you get with the book so that you can quickly go from one view to another and jump right to where you need to be. So I'm going to just zoom in on the single-family lots using a saved view. And so these are the lots that we're going to be grading right here. These are the main lots. Now, we'll actually assign elevations to all of the lots in the drawing. And to do that, I'm just going to select one parcel. Now, remember, those of you that have had the fundamentals course, to select a parcel, you'll select the area label. So I've selected that area label, and it's brought up the contextual parcel tab. And now you can see my edit elevations is already on. Here's the panel that it's talking about. And I want to assign elevations according to a surface. So I'm going to choose the elevations from surface tool. I'm going to tell it to choose use the existing ground surface to start with. And then I can decide if I want to add intermediate grade breakpoints. Basically what that means is everywhere that parcel line intersects a tin line or a triangular irregular network, any of the faces of that surface, wherever it crosses, it's going to go ahead and get an elevation point. I don't want that. I want to keep my surface very simple. And so I'm going to have it just do it at the vertices at each of those corners of my lots. So I'm not going to insert those intermediate grade points at this time. So I'm going to click OK. And now it's asking me to select the objects. This time, instead of selecting the area labels, it wants you to select the parcel lines themselves. So I'm just going to quickly grab my parcels. Let's see if it'll let me. No, of course not. Usually you're able to go in and select a window to do this, and for some reason it's not wanting that right now. So I'm going to go and assign all of them manually. Let's see if I've forgotten. It looks like I've missed lot 1. See if I can. Okay. So basically, these little triangles that you see coming up, those are all of the points that received an elevation point from the surface. Okay? So that way I can clearly see I have assigned all of the elevations that I've needed just by looking at the display and making sure I see a triangle at all of my vertices. Once I'm done, I can hit the Enter key, and I can check to make sure that the parcel segments received what they needed by selecting that area label again and clicking on the elevation editor. And I'm just going to grab one parcel and make sure that I have elevations assigned. Now, when I'm in the elevation editor Vista, you'll notice that when I select one of the vertices, it shows up in the drawing with a triangle highlighting where that vertex is. So as I move from one row to another, it shows me in the drawing where that's assigned. Okay? The nice thing here is I can also just change the elevation manually by clicking inside of a cell, or I can change the grade between one point and another by changing the grade here. Okay? Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to add a few more things. So let's actually go back over to the presentation and just take a look. So we're going to be actually adding retaining walls as well. And so we're going to create break lines that represent that large grade break, right? And so just to give you an idea of what we're doing here, remember I said that we have our road out front, and we're going to have a 4% grade going down to the road, and we'll enter the homes on the side of the road at level 1, but then we'll have at least a 7-foot drop down to the basement, and so we need to create that retaining wall right there. And we're going to use the wall break line because the wall break line allows you to basically have a line at one elevation and then set the height that you want. And so you don't have to put two break lines in that are separate. You can put one break line in and tell it to give it a height, and you can have the height separate at each point on the line, each vertex. And it allows you to quickly create two drastic changes in the grade, top and the bottom of the wall, very quickly. And then when you make changes to that line, it will adjust both the top and the bottom. Okay? So that's one of the things that we are going to be doing. Now, before we do that, though, I want to also talk a little bit about surfaces, because you need to understand how to bring all of that information together. And I want to create my surface and show it in a way that I can see exactly how everything is grading. So we're going to go in and we're going to create our surface the normal way and add our break lines to our surface. So our parcel lines are going to be just standard break lines since they have elevations. And then we're going to add our retaining walls, and they will have elevations, and we'll actually define it as a wall break line so that you can see what happens to the surface as we do that. And last but not least, we want to talk a little bit about pasting those surfaces together. So basically, when we go in and edit a surface, we can add our break lines, and then paste surfaces together is one way to quickly get two surfaces all in one. So for instance, we had our existing ground, right? If we take our existing ground and we add our road to it, we can do that through the paste option. And that way we have the elevations of the road at the road spot, the spot where the road comes in, and we have the elevations of our existing ground, and then we can go and start adding our parcel elevations and our break line, our wall line elevations. Okay? And to do that, we simply select the surface that we want to paste everything into, and then we will, on the contextual tab, Modify panel, will expand our Edit Surface option and choose Paste Surface. You'll select from the dialog box that appears the surface that you want to paste into that surface, and then you'll click OK. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at all of that in the software. So, like I said, I have my elevations for my lots. I'm ready to now go ahead and put those into a surface, and we do that the normal way. I'm going to go ahead and right-click on Surfaces in the Prospector tab and choose Create Surface. And this will be my residential. And I want to give it a style that I know is going to allow me to see everything that I need. And I believe this is the one that I want to, oops, actually, no, let's go with a design style. I'm also going to give it a render material, and the render material is going to allow me to see things in the way that they might be in the real world. So for instance, I have grass in my render materials, and if I want to assign a grass material to that entire surface, when I look at that surface in the Object Explorer or Object Viewer, it will show me the grass and allow me to see it very easily in a normal way, a very realistic way. And so I'm going to assign that render material, and I'll click OK. Now, all I've done, as you know, if you've had the fundamentals class, is I've created that surface, and it's empty right now. So I'm going to expand the residential surface, expand the definition of it, and now I'm going to right-click on break lines and choose Add. Now, before I do this, let me show you a little trick that allows you to quickly select parcels that you want to be working with. So let's just make sure we have, let me just look at my parcel properties really quick. This is lot 1, and yep, we're good. Okay, so now I'm going to just, go back to Prospector tab. I'm going to expand my sites and expand my residential grading. Here's my lot 1. If I right-click on lot 1, I can choose Select. You can see it quickly selected it, and I can go in and select each and every one of my parcels so that I know I have all of them selected. Now, the other thing is you can obviously go in and draw a window around them. The drawback to that, though, is if you have duplicate sites with those parcels on both sites, you risk selecting the wrong lots. So if you've got some lots that are at elevation 0 and other lots that are at elevation that you've assigned, then you stand the chance of accidentally selecting one of those lots at elevation 0 if you go in and select it using the mouse. So this is a surefire way to make sure that you select the correct line work. Okay? And so once you select everything that you want in your drawing, then you'll go in and add those to your surface. All right, so I've got at least that much. Let me make sure I got my multiple family. Select that, select that. Okay, now, so I have the minimum. I have my pond over here. I've got all of these parcels, and these are the ones I'm focusing on, so I think that's pretty good. Now I'm going to go back up to my surface. I'll simply right-click on break lines and select Add. The standard break line is the one I want to use for the parcel line work because they're 3D polylines, right? They're just polylines on steroids that allow me to quickly and easily change their elevations rather than having 3D break lines, 3D lines. So I can give these my description, and I'll click OK. All right, so let's go ahead. Okay, so this is to the point that I've just brought you to. When I look at this in the Object Viewer, you can see this drawing that I've brought up. It does not have, oops, I've taken that too far. Hold on, let me go back. No, I did, okay. All right, let me actually go back to, I apologize. So let's see. So now that I have that surface created, I'm not sure why my contours are not showing up. I must have a layer turned off in this one. But I can go in and right-click on my residential surface. Oops, let's actually expand the definition down here. I'll right-click on my edits and choose my paste surface. And that is where I can then grab the road 1 to go ahead and include that in my surface. And for some reason, that's the only thing that's showing up. So something did happen where my lots did not come in. But let's go ahead and look at be, because this is basically where it would have brought me. I probably grabbed the wrong lots when I was creating that surface. So, again, this is where we've brought you. We've got our road parcel in the middle of our lots, but we don't have our walkout basements like we would like to see. And so, in fact, there's some other things that we need to do. In fact, I want to talk to you a little bit about assigning elevations according to a reference. So if I grab the lot number 1, let's see if there we go, you can see that the lot doesn't exactly hit the feature lines of my road, so it would be a little difficult to just add a feature line from my road to the surface. But if I select this, I can go in and add an elevation according to a reference. So I can select set elevation by reference. It's going to allow me to choose one object in the drawing as a reference point and then tell it a difference in elevation from that point or a slope from that point to the point I want to actually assign the elevation to. So I'm going to click on Set Elevation from Reference. I'll select, this is weird, there we go. Okay, let me try that again. I didn't realize that was so small. I got used to it. So I'll set my elevation from reference. I'm going to select the point that I want to reference and then the elevation that I want to modify. And then I can specify the grade. Now, when I use my down arrow, notice that I can set the slope or I can set the difference. I do want to do a slope, and the slope from that point up to that point is 2%, so I'm going to type in a 2%. And it's that easy to add your elevations according to a reference. Now, just because I did that with a reference, keep in mind that it's not going to have a link. It's not a link reference. It's just a quick reference. And then if you change the road elevations, you'll want to go back and adjust that. Okay? But at least now I know when I go in and I look at my elevations, that elevation is set properly. Now, we also wanted to make sure that we had our elevations set according to a design. So we're going to choose our pond parcel, and we're going to edit elevations for it. I happen to know those elevations are, so I'm going to choose this edit elevation, and I'm going to hit the next until my triangle ends up at the point where I know I'm going to start my elevations. It shows me that this elevation is 180.5. If I wanted that at 181, I just type it in and hit enter. When it goes to the next one, I might need to change that elevation as well. So I type 181 and hit enter, so it goes to the next one. And so that as you make those changes, you'll see which vertex you're actually in and what the elevation is at that point. When I'm done, I can hit the escape key to allow me to see those elevations. Now, something that I haven't mentioned here yet. All of our elevation points, as we go through this, are reading off of each other. So remember, I just changed the pond elevations, and this point was originally 180, I think it was 180.5, right? If I select parcel number 5, and I go in and look at the elevation editor, where is that going? It's not showing up. Let's go that. There we go. All right, so here it is. This point is now 181. Even though it was the pond parcel that I adjusted, lot number 5 actually became adjusted as well. And that is because whenever you change one point that's shared by another parcel, both parcels become updated. Okay? That's the last one edited rule, right? The last one wins. So you want to be careful with that. Now, let's go ahead and jump over to or actually let me insert my line work for my retaining walls as well. But before I do that, let's turn on. Right now, my residential surface is out of date because I changed that elevation of that underlying parcel without having it take effect. So I'm going to just right-click on this, and I'm going to tell it to rebuild automatically. All right, so you saw the contour lines adjust slightly according to those new elevations. And the reason I'm turning that on is I want you to very clearly see what happens when I add in my retaining walls, okay? So I'm just going to do a very basic insert of another drawing. And give the drawing a second to catch up with me. This is always fun. Sometimes you never know when Civil 3D and WebEx are going to interact and cause each other to slow down a little bit. So I'll give it just another minute. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go to my C drive, into the grading and parcels. There we go. And I'm going to insert my retaining walls. And I'm going to explode them all at the same time. Okay. So basically, what I've brought in is I have these lines, right? They already have elevations assigned to them. So if I were to look at these, they have elevations at each of their vertices for the front of the lot and the back of the lot, right? And so if I want to, I can go ahead and add in my retaining walls. Now, you may decide that you want to add a retaining wall for each one separately. I'm just going to do one of them so that you can see how that's done. So I'm going to select the line, and then I'm going to go over to the residential surface and expand the definition. And I'm going to right-click on break lines, and I'm going to choose Add. Now, I could have also selected the parcel or the contours and gone and used the contextual tab of the surface to do the same thing. But this is Lot 1 RW, retaining wall. It is going to be a wall break line this time rather than a standard break line. And when I click OK, it automatically connected me to this first vertex. It's saying, and basically what I want to do from here, if I had my command line open, it would be asking me what height I would want at that point. So I can type in 7. Oh, actually, this is asking me the offset side first. So it's asking me to pick a side to offset to. And do I want each vertex to be a different height? If I do, I would use individual. Or if I want all of them the same height, I can choose all. I want all of them at the same height, so I'm going to choose all. And now I'll set the height. So I'll choose 7 for my difference in elevation and hit Enter. And you can see it went ahead and created that. Now the reason I have this back line is because this is going to be where the basement comes out, and I want to have that grade out from there. So I can add that as just a regular break line. And that'll be a standard. Lot 1 is the description. I'll click OK, and it went ahead and adjusted it. Now I'll do one more just so that we can see 2 lots together with the break lines and everything. So I'm going to, I personally prefer to select the lines first. As you see, you don't have to do that. You could add it, and then it would ask you to select it. And this is going to be, again, a wall for Lot 2. Pick the side to offset to, so I'm going to offset. So basically, they can't be directly above each other. There has to be slight difference, so that's why you have to pick a side to offset. I do want them all the same height. It's going to be 7, and voila. So one more break line here, and then I'll keep moving so that you can see what's next. Lot 2, standard. There we go. Okay, so that's looking pretty good, but I don't like the way my contours are, kind of jagged right here. In fact, let's take a look at that in the object viewer here. All right, so it's not quite exactly what I want just yet. In fact, it's not doing my wall at all, is it? Interesting. Anyway, so one thing I want to do, though, is right between those lots is I want to clean up how that surface is. So you can see, you've got this drastic drop between the lots, and I want to clean that up a little bit. And I want to talk to you a little bit about split points. So we've talked about how when you edit one parcel line, it updates the one adjacent to it, right? Let's talk a little bit about how that all works. So we want to see how feature lines actually interact with each other and how parcel lines interact with feature lines. When you add additional points of elevation, so for instance, if I go into Lot 2 and I add these points of elevation along this side, you're going to see them show up as these little circles inside the elevation editor with elevations assigned to them according to what you decide. Then when you select, whoops, this is supposed to say Lot 1 right here. That's interesting. When you select the lot below it, what happens is you're going to see these triangles that are empty. And basically, those are the shared elevation points between those two lots, and they're called split points, okay? So whenever you see an empty triangle inside your elevation editor, it means that it grabbed the elevation from another lot, and so you can't change the elevation of that split point. You have to go to the lot adjacent to it to be able to change that, okay? So let's take a look at how we would add those split points inside of the software. So I'm going to grab lot number 2 and make sure my elevation editor is back up. There we go. So that you can clearly see what all the elevations are, all right? And I'm going to insert an elevation point. I could have done it from the Edit Elevations panel, or I can do it from the Edit Elevation Vista. Either way, it's the same command. And I'm going to grab a point right there. It looks pretty good. And it's saying this is the station number along that parcel, and this is the elevation. So I'm going to set that at 198. Okay? So now you can see I have this point that is a circular point because it's an elevation point, but it's not a vertex. So it'll only change elevation-wise. It won't be able to change horizontally. But when I choose another parcel, I can select another parcel using this command in the Elevation Vista, and I think I'm going to have to pan a little bit here to make sure I can grab that parcel. So you can see when I grabbed Lot 1, it went ahead and shows me that split point that I added to Parcel 2, and it adjusted the corners there. So that's how you would go about doing your grading of residential lots. Now, I've done a very quick, dirty job of this. Obviously, you'd want to go back through and make it much cleaner, make sure that your walls are working correctly, and everything adjusts accordingly, right? So let's go ahead. And by the way, when you do purchase the course, there are assessment questions at the end of each chapter so that you can go back and assess your learning. So let's just go through some of these that are in the back of the chapter in the grading, the parcel grading chapter. Where do you set the option to use parcel elevations in the drawing? If you remember, that was in the site properties. And then when using the Edit Elevation command in the Parcel Segments Contextual tab, Edit Elevation panel, how many vertices can you set at one time? This one, you can set any that are selected, right? However, when you use the set elevation by reference, you can only set one vertex at a time. So you can see our answers there. Next, when creating a wall break line, you can use the following to set the elevations: an offset point at each vertex. You can use a difference in elevation. You can do it by reference, or you can do it by surface. That's actually something I didn't point out, but those are the three options that you have available there. And then when feature lines, parcel lines, or survey figures cross each other, what is that elevation point called? That was the last one we just went through. That was the split point. So when it's all said and done, when you're done with all of the grading in that chapter, you'll end up with a very nice surface that you can see here. And in fact, let me change the render material for that so that you can see the grass on it. Okay. So if I had gone through and not done such a quick, dirty job of doing this grading for you, when you're done, you would have these nice wall break lines with it grading out to a certain point and then grading the 2% down to the pond that's on this side. So that's not too bad. It really doesn't take a lot of time if you're working with your parcel lines, but you can see how nice of a surface you can end up with just by setting elevations of your parcels and then adding additional feature lines as needed. All right. So now you're able to set your parcel line elevations using the feature line edit elevation tools. You're able to create your wall break lines representing a large grade breaks at top and bottom. And you're able to edit your surfaces so that they're more accurate and create split points where parcel lines cross your feature lines and share those elevations. So I hope you enjoyed today's webcast. Here's a list of all of the books that are available for civil and geospatial courses. Of course, you have the Civil 3D Fundamentals available in both an imperial version and metric. Your survey, the same thing, imperial and metric. And then the grading right now is only available in imperial measurements. And then you have, I've listed here the Autodesk InfraWorks, I've listed the Autodesk InfraWorks Design Suite BIM workflow for roads and highways, both under Civil 3D and in InfraWorks. That's because it has Civil 3D information in it as well as InfraWorks information, and that comes in both imperial and metric. And then the newest title that we have coming out this month is our InfraWorks Fundamentals. And then, of course, you have Map 3D. Having all of these courses under your belt and being familiar with everything inside of them definitely gives you an advantage and helps you be much more efficient because you'll be able to use all of the tools that are available to you inside of that suite. Of course, our training guides come in multiple formats. We have printed manuals that are spiral bound, as you see here. Makes it really easy to either open it wide open and have it lay flat on the desk or flip it all the way around so that if you're limited in space, you can have just one page showing at a time. We do have the e-book, and I love the e-book because you can actually take notes in that e-book. You can have it on your iPad. You can have it on your PC at work. You can have it on your laptop at home. All of those devices will sync so that when you open up that book at home, it will open up to the same page that you were just on when you were at work. Or maybe you were commuting on the train or something and you were looking at it through your iPod or your iPad. You can go ahead and sync right back to that page. And your notes sync to all of those devices. Not only that, but you can share your notes with coworkers so that if you are, let's say you're the training manager or the project manager, and you want to share information on how you want a specific task to be done, maybe it's different than what we have in the course, then you can go ahead and take notes on that, share it out with all your coworkers or your students, and everyone's on the same page. And then, of course, we do have a Civil 3D e-learning bundle. I want to just highlight quickly what that includes. That e-learning bundle would include our Civil 3D fundamentals, our Civil 3D survey, and our grading, as well as our BIM workflow for roads and highways. Or, well, actually, I take that back. I have to ask Corinne on that. Is that for sure? Corinne?
Hi. Yeah, I can just type in quick. So with the e-learning bundle, they get the fundamentals, the Civil 3D for surveyors, the grading, and the brand new InfraWorks.
Oh, the new InfraWorks, that's the one.
Yep.
Okay, not the BIM workflow, but the InfraWorks. Got it.
Yeah, correct.
Thank you for clarifying. Yep. All right. And then, of course, we do have, if you are an instructor and you're going to be teaching this, we do have slides available. We have an instructor manual that actually has all the answers to the questions at the end of the book, and it has a syllabus to help you structure your time in the class. So I want to thank everyone for their time today, and if you do have additional questions, you can always send that to feedback@ascented.com, and definitely follow us on Twitter and check out the blog. I'll be definitely talking a lot about that InfraWorks book soon, and so it's a great way to stay informed.
And also, Michelle, just highlight there our ASCENT e-store. So any of the courseware that you just outlined there, the guides, the e-books, the e-learning bundles, those are brand new, and it's just up now in the e-store. So ASCENTestore.com is where you can go online to make all your purchases there. And you can also find out lots of other valuable information. You can get the page count of our books. You can see the descriptions. There's sample chapters, table of contents. We have that information as well on our website. So between those two sites, you've got everything that you need. Okay. So Michelle, thank you very much for your time today, and thank you everyone for attending.